today?
Now he's coming. Give him a sec.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. The busy guy. Got a lot to arrange.
You don't have an inspiration yet? Mr. President, Len is not inspired yet, so why don't you do announcements? I'll start the meeting and I'll call on him first.
Sounds great. He's looking for inspiration to provide us inspiration, so nothing wrong with that. Yes, announcements. I would like to announce that the process for the move is going forward. Money has been transferred to Len, and Len is purchasing items to make our hybrid meeting viable. And so that's rolling forward, and he's putting together stuff in his living room, and before you know it, we'll be ready to go and test it all out. And as Mike said, you might have overheard in our pre-Toasties chat that the room is a pretty good room, and we'll definitely have some foot traffic there. And hopefully Mike goes to the Y and he can be an ambassador. That'd be great. And I'm sure we'll come across other folks that know folks there that are walking through, because people get up early and go to the Y. So hopefully we'll recruit a few members that way. Let's see. Kate also has a event tonight for Toastmasters. Kate, are you on? You want to talk about that?
You ready?
Okay. Len is going to inspire us at this moment. So Len, go ahead and, or not. I will continue on with that. So it's Kate has a Zoom thing tonight where we can do extra speeches. I will do one. I will be there about 7:30. And if Kate is not on, I will communicate with her in other fashions. The next two meetings, I will be in Florida. So our crack officers will have to step up to open the meetings. And then I'll be back and help with the move. We'll coordinate stuff behind the scenes for that. In regards to email and phone calls, make sure it all happens. And then I see you're at the lectern.
I am, finally. Go. Thanks for your patience. Everybody says that Latin is a dead language. Far from it. We have a lot of remnants of the Latin language in English. Carpe diem, etc., cum laude, curriculum vitae, and mea culpa are just a few used in our everyday conversations. But today, courtesy of Margot, we're employing another one, ad hoc, as an impromptu speaking. This is going to be an interesting meeting, fellow Toastmasters. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Len. We'll definitely have quite a few ad hoc moments today. Those are my least favorite types of committees, ad hoc committees, I will say. But in the end, they're committees and things get done. I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster, DTM, Margot Bittner, who I saw at the BPO the other day. So that was very nice to see her and her husband, the Philharmonic.
Yeah, I know. Imagine we met at the Philharmonic Saturday night. So good morning, everyone. I have a slightly challenging meeting for you today. Leave it to me to shake things up. So everything is table topics. I'm going to pull a name from one of my little bins here, and everybody who's a member is in here. So if they're not here, I'll just pull another one. And in the other bin, I have questions. For those in the room, you can either tell me you're going to pull your own question, or I will pull and call it. And Mike's rolling his eyes already because he's heard some of my questions when I was planning them. But I'm going to start off with the job holders for this morning. And of course, the most important thing that you have to remember in table topics is you must use the word of the day. Jen Zapla, do you have a word for us?
I do have a word. Thank you, Margot. The word of the day today is ingratiate. Ingratiate means to gain favor or acceptance by deliberate effort. Now, according to Merriam-Webster, that is often used disapprovingly by other people, but today I hope that we all can try to ingratiate ourselves in an approving way to the Toastmaster or perhaps anyone else who you may want to vote for you. Thank you, Margot.
Thank you. Well, I will start by ingratiating myself into his good graces and invite our general evaluator to describe his job this morning. Mike, what are you doing?
Madam Toastmaster, thank you very much, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. This will be an interesting meeting for me because normally, as general evaluator, I do evaluate the Toastmaster of the day and the evaluators, but that won't, second portion of that won't happen today. That's okay. That's okay. So it'll be very interesting to see how this meeting unfolds. If there's anybody who can pull it off, it's definitely DTM Margot Bittner. So on with the show.
Thank
Madam
you very much,
Toastmaster.
Mike. I see Carol Ann logged on. Carol Ann sent me an email that she is my master and grammarian. Carol Ann, could you describe your duties, please?
Yes, this morning I will be listening for Oz, pregnant pauses, and also the grammarian part, if I can pick up on any good use or poor use of grammar this morning. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Now, I don't know how many of you were here, but I've been known to do things with table topics like call two people up and make you both do it together. Do you know, anybody remember that meeting? Oh, Mike's putting up the word of the day. Thank you, Mike. While we're doing that, while he's doing that, Nancy, you are timing today a little more convoluted, but I think you'll be able to handle it. Your experience. Tell us what you're doing today.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, Toastmasters and guest. Do we have a guest? Not too sure. I am timer for table topics, and you can ingratiate with me by staying within your time limits. The time is 1:30 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer on each end. So it's 1:15 to 2:15. Good luck. Thank you very much.
All right. So I have every member's name in my first little bucket here, whether they're here or not. So I may be pulling a few because we're short a few people this morning, unfortunately. So let's see who's, oops, I also brought extras in case we had some guests. Let's see. Marty. Hi, Marty. You're first. Would you like me to pull the question or do you want to pull your own? I will pull the question. Marty, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Marty Johnston.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Margot, fellow Toastmasters, good morning. What came first, the chicken or the egg? If I may ingratiate you with my explanation, I would say from firsthand knowledge, being a hobby chicken farmer, I can delve into this in a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Definitely, the egg came first, and I can give you a wonderful story why the egg came first. Recently, I was all excited because a friend of my sister in Rochester knew that I was on the market for some hens because my other hens had faded off and a couple of them died, and I needed eggs. And I was all excited because this woman said that she recently had some chickens that went broody. And if any of you know about chickens that go broody, after 21 days of them sitting on the egg that is fertilized, it could hatch. And that's exactly what happened. And this woman said, I have X number of hens. Would you
You all are on mute inside the club there.
This looks like fun and we can't hear it.
Before you guys get started, can you unmute the mic for us? We can't hear.
Got it. All right. So this is Mark Crane.
Thanks,
This
Jen.
question is, congratulations, you've just won the lottery. What are you going to do with all that wonderful money? Let's see who he ingratiates himself with. All right.
Well, thank you. Well, as you know me, I'm always pursuing the scratch off. So the lottery is a big thing for me. Usually I pick lotteries when I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be. So I try to use chance upon chance. I'm somewhere out in the world and I said, you know, I should get a lottery ticket today. And if I did win that lottery, I'd probably give most of it away. Because I don't know, I'm kind of that kind of guy. But I know our club needs a lot of new equipment, and I would like to invest in that. And that would probably be one of the first goals. And of course, my family, they get everything after me. As a matter of fact, recently I dispensed with most of my worldly goods. Last year, you do know of my medical problems that I've had over the last couple of years. I did get out of the hospital. I said, well, you know, I'm down to my truck, my trailer, and my ATV, and that's it. Everyone else in the family has been taken care of. And it's a real lack of burden now. I mean, I feel like my family's taken care of, and every day is a gift. And if I had a gift of a windfall of a lottery, do I go out and buy an island? Probably not. But I would probably invest in my community and my church and that. And that's what I would do that money. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jen, you're up next. I guess I have to pick your question for you. Yes, everybody gets a question. If you could choose one book that every person in the world absolutely must read, what book would it be and why? Jen Zapla.
If I could choose a book for anyone to read, what book would it be? Well, I'm thinking about some of the books that I've read multiple times in a row, and I'm really reaching way back into my childhood, and a couple that have come to mind that I used to really love. Now, one of them was The Pokey Little Puppy. I mean, every person in the world should probably read a golden book. And The Pokey Little Puppy is one of the best. I can very much relate to that character. Sometimes you're just meandering through life. So I think that's a pretty good book to read. But I have more, fellow Toastmasters, because I would like to ingratiate myself with all of you and want you to know what an avid reader I've been throughout my life. Where the Red Ferns Grow is another book that I really enjoyed as a child. It's a kid's book. It's about dogs. So if you don't do dog books, don't read it. But I read it many times, so many times that my cover fell off the book of my copy of the book when I was a kid. So that's another one that I would definitely put on the list. So many books come to mind. And I think the truth is you shouldn't just read one book. If you're only reading one book in your life, you're probably doing it wrong. So I would highly recommend reading as many books as possible. And if you only read them each once, that's okay. because then you'll have an opportunity to read more books, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Phil Russell, have you logged on? No Lion Phil. Nope. Ryan is not here. Told you I put everybody's name in here. Chris Badger Bach, she's still a member. And maybe we need, oh, Jerry, how about you? You ready?
How about me? Yes, I am ready for the fickle finger of fate.
Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would it be and what would you do with it? Jerry, Stephen.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master/Toastmaster. I hope to ingratiate you with this selection of my superpower today. What would it be? There's so many superpowers that are out there. There's super strength, there's X-ray vision, there's being able to read people's minds. Some people think that might be a good thing. I personally think that would not be a good thing. It'd be useful, but sometimes you're going to hear what people think that you might not want to know. Don't ask unless you want to know is a mantra that I try to have in life, because you might just get an answer that you don't like. But if you do want to know, by all means ask. I'm not shy in that way. But that didn't answer the question, did it? What would be my superpower? I would say my superpower would be eternal life, because I feel like there's so much to do in life, and I would just love to live as long as I possibly can and see all parts of the world. I would put a limit on my eternal life, though, for 200 years. Unlike Phil. Phil wants to live to 100. I would like to live to 200. So a limited superpower would be my selection. And I could go all over the world. I could do a cruise around the world like Jen wants to do. I could go to India. I could go all over the place and meet so many people. I love interacting with folks out there and hearing their stories. So many great stories, so many great people. And I just want to suck that all up. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. There's an old Yiddish proverb, may you live to be 120. So there you go. Carol Ann, you ready? Carol Ann, who is the one person, dead or alive, you would like to meet, and what would you like to talk to them about? Carol Ann.
The one person I would like to meet is John Glenn, astronaut. Unfortunately, he is deceased. However, when I was in high school, that was my go-to essay if the topic was a great American, because I very much was excited about the space program at that time. And in fact, the one Christmas, I got a book about We Seven, the original astronauts, and another book about John Glenn. In fact, my mother and father both bought the book, but they found out before Christmas, so I only got one copy. And another essay I remember writing, due to the fact that I admired John Glenn and the astronauts, was we had to write about an inanimate object. And I chose Friendship 7, which was John Glenn's capsule. And I actually did a project on a project on Project Mercury, which was the first of the space programs that launched astronauts into space. And I did very well. I was hoping to ingratiate my English teacher by giving a very good report on Project Mercury. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol Ann. Okay, Tracy. Tracy's not here. I guess I'll give her questions Saturday when she comes to work. Les Robinson. Nope, no Les. I told you I put everybody in here. No Ann, no more, no less. No Anne Marie. Mike, you want me to pick or are you gonna pick? Mike Licata.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My question this morning is cat or dog and why? Now, this is always a very good question because growing up, I didn't have a ton of pets. I didn't have any pets. We had cats once, but they did not ingratiate themselves into our household, so it did not work out well. But more recently, I've had a unique opportunity to pet sit both cats and dogs, and figuring out the difference is vastly entertaining for a number of reasons. Number one, cats do not care. They just want to make sure they're fed, and then they go over and do whatever they want because they run the household and they're trying to figure out why you're there and not their owner. Dogs are more loyal, but they're also more work because they have a set schedule when you actually have to let them outside, and to make sure that you don't have to clean up any indoor messes, you have to make sure they get out at the right time. And it's even more work because I was looking after the dogs in this type of weather like it is today here in Western New York, where it was colder. So when they come inside, you have to clean their paws so they don't track all the mud into the household. So both animals are very, very unique, but I would definitely find myself more of a dog person than a cat person because that unconditional love exists between you and a dog. And when you're raising something like that, it definitely makes your life more interesting. There's always something to do, whereas cats are just kind of around and that they just expect you to feed them and pet them every once in a while. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike. And for those who don't know it, when I'm gone, Mike stays at the winery and takes care of my cats. I'm down to 3. It's okay. Let's see. Thomas Heldwine. Morning, Thomas.
Good morning. Please pick my question.
Let's see. What activity makes you lose track of time? Ooh, he's thinking.
I did think. All right. So which activity makes me lose track of time?
Mhm.
This thing right here in my hand. My cell phone is the biggest waste of time I have in my life. I've recently learned that I might be addicted. The effect of using social media, video games, etc., is a release of brain chemicals that give you a reward. Well, it's great because, reward. Well, I don't get anything done in the real world. This small box in my hand doesn't do anything for me. So I've learned to turn it off on Sundays. It gets plugged in the wall and it's off. I've learned to turn it off after dinner and not use it. But it's still a great suck on my free time, on what I should be doing. YouTube, they created shorts. There's TikTok. There's naturally social media. I haven't been on Facebook probably in 2 years. I started getting back on that because I wanted more rewards. I can't believe that I get it. The phone literally ingratiates me and says, "Ooh, please come back, please come back." I don't like it. I have started looking into even 10-step programs or other things in addictions and watching things. And I use the YouTube videos to try and beat YouTube. And it's a unique situation, but I think I'm starting to get it under control. And if I can, I hope to eventually get it down to only 2 hours a day. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. For me, it's reading. Get my nose in a book and forget it. I have no idea where I am. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Do you want me to pick your question or you want to pick your own? If you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing about the future, what would it be? Okay. And remember, you can change the question. I like that question. And I will try to ingratiate myself with all of you by coming up with something interesting about it. Probably, seriously, I would tell myself to get involved in investing sooner. Because you never think you have enough extra money to invest. And I certainly didn't have enough money to invest for a very long time. But planning for your future is, of course, very important and something that we all need to think about. So yeah, that's probably what I would tell myself. Scrape together a little bit of money and give it to a nice financial advisor and get things started. I did have a job within a retirement, which seems to be becoming more and more rare to have a job that has a retirement plan. I feel sorry for a lot of people nowadays because they don't have that option. My pension isn't very big because I took early retirement and got the heck out of there. Saved my health and my sanity, but it's a little bit extra every month, added to Social Security and added to the investment plan that we did come up with eventually. So life is good. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Thank you. Right. Who's next? Kate. Kate online? Nope, no Kate. No Kate. Nancy. Nancy Ferry. Are you picking your question or am I? Oh, you are. Oh, I am. Thank you. Okay. PowerPoint, help or hindrance?
Thank you, Toastmaster and table topics and everything else. PowerPoint. What will we do without PowerPoint? I know that when I give a speech to an audience that about something, especially at work or something similar to that, it really helps me to have the cues. And if I see a picture, it triggers my mind to say the next right thing on a PowerPoint. It's much better to have a PowerPoint than to have all these note cards that we used to use, or I used to use with the index cards. I think that I can ingratiate an audience much better if I have a PowerPoint that is in front of me, especially if I've created it, because I know it in my heart what it is that I want to say and what I need to say. If it's somebody else's PowerPoint, not so much. That's not fun because the words and perhaps the pattern that they've used or just isn't necessarily what I would have said and the way I would have said it. With that, I hope that I would ingratiate an audience with a great PowerPoint.
Jill Roaring is not here. Up to the rest. Larry McKenzie, there's a name from the past. Hey, if they're on the schedule, I put them. Mark Campos, did Mark ever log on this morning? No Mark. Elaine Moon definitely isn't here. How long has it been since we've seen Elaine Moon? David Jones. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
All right. They are making a movie about your life. What's the title and who would play you?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I think the title would be Spoiled, and I would have to play myself, obviously. I'm an only child, and I think I don't know how many only children we have in the club, but we're definitely a different type of group of people. It's something my girlfriend struggles with because I tend to be selfish, especially in my older age where I'm kind of settled into my own way of doing things. I'm very structured as far as, when I wake up and I work or whatever I do. But even as a child, my parents were divorced when I was 2, so we moved around a lot. My dad lived in the Florida Keys, my mom was in Miami, and like every year I was back and forth. So I never really had a lot of friends. I pretty much had to entertain myself, which benefits me now because I can just sit in a doctor's office or airport just for hours and I'm entertained in my own mind. I don't have to have outside influences, but the outside influences do entertain me, especially at airports. But just being an only child, you tend to be spoiled, don't like to share. And at my age, I don't like to share my time usually. For instance, this is important. I spent the night at my girlfriend's house last night, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was like, I got to go. I have AM Lockport at 7 o'clock. And instead of staying and having breakfast and having coffee, so I have my priorities, which she learns to work with. But so my life would definitely be being spoiled or selfish because unfortunately, as an only child, that's what we do. And I hope I ingratiated everybody with my answer, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Right, Sylvia, am I gonna pick or are you gonna pick? I can pick. Bad luck with lottery? We can always answer that question. Okay. What subject should be taught in school but isn't? Or what is that should be better taught?
That is an interesting question for a person who struggled with English their whole life. The language you speak, they say our English language is the hardest, believe it or not. But I did struggle with English, and that's because I didn't read enough. And boy, I could kick myself every day when I think about that. I should have read more. I should have took grammar, a little more serious, spelling, everything of it has to do with the English language. So I think that really, I think the schools should focus 1 full year. I don't know what age level. I mean, from pre-K all the way to maybe 1st, 2nd grade, the most latest, really focus just on English. Math is going to come. You may struggle with math. I had that too, but I overcame that and I end up being, into accounting, which amazed a lot of my family members. I amazed them at times, but I wanted to, and I liked money. That was the other reason. You got to know, like money, you've got to know math. And I stressed that on my 2 boys, the English, and hopefully they graciously took my advice and said, yeah, we'll read. And I have another little story I can do real quickly. My older one learned how to read amazingly by playing Pokemon on the game, because you had to read to go to the next step, to the next level, to the next game. And that was his goal. And he made sure he knew how to read, and he conquered many games. Thank you, Margot, for the opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't learn one of my children could read until all of a sudden she was turning 5 and she started reading her birthday cards. How long you been reading, Janet? So Beth Banks. No Beth. Jason. Oh, I was hoping Jason would be here. Who we got? Mike Reinbold and Eric, neither one of them. We're getting down there in these. Let's see. Nancy Rose. Dave, would you please take over?
I'm taking over.
You're taking over. Nancy, am I drawing your question or are you? I am. Mike's the only one I could persuade to do that. Tell us about your hero.
My hero.
Your hero. Yep.
Thank you. Do I have to have one hero? I want to tell you about a lot of heroes. I'll start with my dad, who's a hero. He just raised 13 wonderful people. Like, I don't know how he did it, but my sisters and brothers are wonderful. My mother, she's my hero because I don't know how she kept us all together. We're all crazy. I'm going to go on to, there's a couple mentors I had. One of them is Dr. Maritza Ohms from Puerto Rico. I just loved her, the way she treated her patients, the way she just spread so much knowledge to everybody. And she was a surgeon and I was an audiologist at the time. And she just showed me everything, which just broadened my horizons. She never stopped. There was no limit of learning. And then I had my husband, who is just, I don't know how he does everything. He's probably the most altruistic person. And he didn't have to ingratiate his altruism to me. I just embraced it all. So I would say that there's plenty of people, and I'm going to throw in my two kids. So I have a lot of role models. My kids always teach me, and I'm appreciative in you guys. So many of you are my heroes. Thank you for helping me. Back to you, Margot.
We're getting down there. Len. Good morning, Len.
Morning.
Am I pulling your name or your question or you?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. That's, I know what it is. You just want a chance to think. Step into a time machine. Where and when would you want to visit? Len Thornton.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. A time machine. Who hasn't thought about that? Being able to go back in time or forward in time. Unfortunately, we know that's not possible, so I'm going to change the question. And I'm going to draw upon some previous questions here, because in between timing and doing Zoom, I've been taking some notes on the other questions. My favorite book, and I'm due to read it again, just to refresh my memory, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Pirsig. On the surface, it's about a boy and his father taking a motorcycle trip across country, but it really gives you a different way to look at life. It's more about philosophy and the way you look at things, and some lessons in there I think everybody could apply to live a happier life. Superpower. If I could have one superpower, what would it be? To multitask better. No, it would be to travel instantly, okay? We've always talked about if I had a clone, I could get all my stuff done so much easier. Well, if you could travel instantly, if you could be in one place for 5 minutes and then you could excuse yourself to go to the restroom and actually transport to another place and get some more work done, okay? Or not have to budget a half hour to get to a meeting that you set up. If travel was instantaneous for me, I think that would make my life a lot less stressful. Again, like time travel, I don't think that's going to happen. Person I'd like to meet, one person in history, Ben Franklin, Renaissance man. I would just pick his brain on how he came up with all his inspiration and all the things that we credit him with. Cat or dog? Hands down a dog. They've been bred to relate to humans and they do it so very well. And if I could go back in time and add one thing, tell myself one thing, whatever you do, be confident. We're all just making this up as we go. But if you have confidence, that'll drive you to greater things. back to you, Madam Topic Master.
Thank you very much. All right. Dave.
Oh.
Hi, Dave. Are you picking or am I?
I'm picking.
He's picking. Mhm.
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and Scott, my guest, who never showed up. Thank you. I thought I had one for this morning. Is there any book you would like to reread, and what is it and why? Well, first thing, when the word of the day came up, I had difficulty with that because I really didn't know what it meant. But then I said to myself, you know, that's not really a problem because Margot is a master of words. She can tell me what it means. She's incredible with the PR. There isn't a day goes by in the Union Sun there's not a mention of Bittner Singer Farms or Margin Manor or the Barker Legends. This Margot is really something, the best boss I ever had. So that might have something to do with ingratiating. It might. All right. There's a book called The Last Place on Earth. It's about the race to the South Pole between Roald Amundsen, the Norwegian, and Robert Falcon Scott, the Brit. And the book is not really about this race so much, it's about management. Roald Amundsen's team of Norwegians got to the South Pole first, and that's why it's called The Last Place on Earth. And Robert Falcon Scott's team died as they tried to come back. Because my boy Roald, and I was so happy that Ancestry.com said I got a little Norwegian in me, but my boy Roald, he turned this into a sporting event. And Robert Falcon Scott turned it into a more military thing. Roald Amundsen's men gained weight on this arduous journey, and Robert Falcon Scott's men died in the tent. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. All right. So we are down to Joe Budnick, who's not here, which means Mike Florio. Hi, Mike. You ready?
I was wondering if I was on the chopping block.
Everybody's on the chopping block this time.
Have at it, I guess.
Today is a very special day. You can do whatever you want, no money limits, nothing. Whatever you could do to make today ideal, what is it you would do? Mike Florio.
What would I do? I would ingratiate myself to my family. I know that sounds like the easy way out, but they do a lot for me. And I feel like I want to help them in any way I can. And a lot of things that I do in my life, I'm pushing to help my family to learn more, to be better at what we do. So I think what we do is maybe take a vacation together. If I could do that, if I had unlimited cash flow, I'd say, let's go get on a plane, head back to Hawaii, watch some whales. Maybe I'll get to play a little bit of golf, do whatever. But I really like this format. And based on what Len had done, I wanted to say a couple of things about where I would go on some of these, because it was really fun kind of listening to everybody and their comments. Like, for instance, school. You know, I don't feel there's enough financial education taught in school. I mean, the people come out, and I think there's a lot of the problems that we have today are caused by the fact that people don't know how to handle money. They come out of school, they'll come out of even college and not know how to handle money. So I think that we should have financial education at least a year, if not longer. We live in a capitalist society. Why shouldn't we know how to handle money? Why do we just go along like sheep and consumers and spend and spend and spend, and nobody knows how to handle it? So I had other ones, but I'm running out of time. And thank you very much, Madam Table Topics.
All right. That covers everybody. I've called everybody's name who's on our agenda, right? Yes. Oh, Eric? Eric was driving. Eric, can you take a question now or no?
Yeah, I can take a question.
All right. All right. He's at a stop sign. Okay. Eric, you have now been selected to star in the MasterCard Everything is Priceless, but for everything else you have MasterCard. Tell us about your storyline.
Ooh. I'm going to change a little bit of that question, Margot. I'm going to go a little bit off key to like for David Jones's question about who about a movie about his life and who should play me. I would have somebody, I would pick either, oh, who's that guy who played in Elvis? Austin Butler or Tony Dan, no, not Tony Danza. What am I thinking? But I would play myself, honestly, because who know better than me to portray about my life? Maybe I should make a documentary, and I can be like on, say, A&E, or what is that, biography? Or is that still, it's the same, A&E and biography? But I would integrate that into a spectacular biography. I'll have you guys in interviews, maybe do some of the, how Eric got into Toastmasters, how, James Bond integrated his life, and so on and so forth. So who can do that? Me. If I would do a MasterCard commercial, I would pick a tagline for, say, like for the holidays. Spend money to give toys to children in need. I would give it to like throughout the whole world, honestly. It's called Eric's Giving Back to the World. So, Margot, thank you very much for that question.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad you could participate. So
Thank
now
you.
all right, before I call for reports, I'm going to let you know what the other questions were because I did have one for every single person on our list. What do you want to be when you grow up? What is the American dream? Tell us about your first car and your favorite trip in it. What is a TV show no longer on TV that you really, really miss? Big city, small town, where would you rather live? Tell us about your hobby. What is your favorite role at Toastmasters? What is your least favorite? Hey, I had to throw one Toastmasters question in there. What's the best birthday gift you've received? You have been granted a free trip to visit one city. Where would you go and what would you want to do there? What's your favorite sport? Do you prefer to play or watch? Is there a quote that inspires you? What is it and why? Do you have a mentor? Nancy actually sort of answered that question already for us. How would you spend a rainy day? What charity do you think everyone should support? What are the pros and cons of owning a pet rock? I had fun, I'll tell you. Tell us about your favorite dish. How do you make it? What is it? And what memories do you have of it? What type of music do you like? What fictional character would you like to meet? Tell us about your ideal vacation. If you could be any animal, what would it be and why? So that's the questions you missed out on. So why don't we go to reports? Everybody's looking at me like, oh my gosh, she really is nuts. All right, timer report. Nancy, did everyone make time? Yes or no? Yeah, come on up and give us a report.
Thank you. Well, that was fun. Congratulations, everybody. Made time.
A few with the buffer, I think, but everybody made time. That's wonderful. Carol Ann, I'm Master Grammarian, and I have to say you were spectacular today. So Carol Ann, what can you report for us?
Everyone did amazingly well for this being an unprepared talk that everyone had to do today. I caught very few ahs. I caught a couple so's, but they seem to be used more as a connector as rather than a pause word. And let's see. I think Nancy on hers, she just hesitated once between ideas. And Sylvia had an and I heard a couple more Dave Licata kind of started something and repeated it. But everyone just, it was like they were prepared for the question they were going to get. Everyone went very smoothly. I think Eric had a like, and he also called his fellow Toastmasters, you guys. Maybe he could have phrased that a little bit differently, but it was an amazing ah-less morning.
Thank you.
Toastmaster.
Jen, how did our word do?
All right, I need some help. I heard most people use it, but there were a couple people where either I may have gotten distracted or stepped away momentarily that I just want to confirm whether or not they used it. So the first was Mark. Did Mark use the word of the day? Did anyone hear Mark?
Right up front. Right up front.
Mark used it? Okay. I missed that one. And how about Len?
Len did not.
No Len. Dave Licata. Did Dave use the word of the day?
Yes, he ingratiated himself to his boss.
Okay. And finally, Eric. And Eric, that I got distracted. I had to Google who that character was playing you, and then I just lost it. So Eric, did Eric use the word of the day?
Yeah, he used a different form of it.
He used a different form. Okay, so it sounds like everyone except Len used the word of the day.
Oh, wonderful. So with that, our general evaluator, Mike, what'd you think?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I really thought this was a great change up, honestly. You know, again, hats off to you, Margot. I knew you could pull it off. I'm sure there was no problem. I felt like it was very thought-provoking, the whole thing. And I could tell by the way everybody wanted to answer previous questions, myself included, that it was really thought-provoking. And when you hear someone answer it, you go, oh, I've got a great answer on that too. It's almost as if it was a conversation starter that you opened up and people wanted to participate even more, but they couldn't. And it was really a lot of fun. It was kind of like the TikTok version of Toastmasters. Everybody got their 2 minutes, right? And then we went on to the next one and we went on to the next one. So you were really focused on what people were saying. And it was a very, very interesting meeting. I mean, there is a time and a place for the normal, without a doubt. And I think that gets people used to how to run and perform a normal meeting over, through at work or wherever they're going to have a meeting. But there's also a time and a place for something like this as well, where I think you'll be sitting in a meeting and all of a sudden, like, I wasn't sure if I was going to get called on or not. And I was a little nerved up. I'm going, oh, she's going to call on me. Nah, I'm the general evaluator. She'll never call on me. There's no way. And then you called on me and I go, okay, here we go. time to participate, which was fun, which was really a lot of fun. And everybody knew going in that they better be prepared because everyone was a target, right? Everyone knew that they would get their turn. It was just a question of when. And I think that builds up that kind of anticipation in yourself. So hats off to you. I think that this is something that kind of breathes the fresh air and a little bit of fresh air into the club. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Sort of goes with my backwards meeting, for those who remember that, where I actually started with the general evaluators report, and then we had the other reports, and we actually did the entire meeting backwards. So there is no voting today because everybody participated and it'd be too confusing. Mike is back there getting the jug of tickets ready. You ready? All right. So I will pull that and then I will turn it over to our president. And yes, we're finishing early today because not everybody showed up. Let's see what we got. Number 699. Mark Crane. Good morning, Mark. All right. And with that, Mr. President, I will turn the meeting back over to you. Jerry Steicher. I'm sorry, Jerry Stevens. Jerry Steicher was in our club. Yeah.
Good memory for that.
Oh,
thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
okay,
Something else fun.
Yes, our next week's Toastmaster would like to speak for a minute. If you'd like to introduce Mark.
Thank you. Not to ingratiate you with more time, but next week's theme will be, because we're always so busy, and we give up our time, it seems very, very freely to others. I thought about how have you said no to people? It's one of the gifts that I'm trying to give some of my friends who are very busy, because they just can't seem to stop putting their right hand up to volunteer. And I think we have to make more time for ourselves and our loved ones than jumping on the bandwagon and always helping someone else. So the theme is, when did you have to say no? And I'll get out that list during the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. To help Mark out a little bit, his speakers listed are Katie Orr, Dave Licata, and Nancy Rose. Alternate speaker is Eric Schneider. So please help him and check everything off on the website. And speakers put their titles up and their times and the topic in our pathways. Announcement I also neglected to mention, dues are due. So please get those to Beth. She has a surgery coming up, so do that sooner than later, please. I did check. We have about a third people paid, so need a bunch of checks heading Beth's way. And if you have not already done so, please mail it over. I don't think she's there in person today, so we can make that happen and get closer towards our goals. Anybody else have any other announcements out there? It's worth asking. Anything exciting happening?
I do.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
I'm going to ingratiate myself. This previous Saturday was the Division A District 65 competition. And I won.
Oh, congratulations. Nice. And you are going on to the district level, right?
Correct. District 65 level. Then
wow.
Table Topics does not advance beyond that.
Okay.
I will be giving it tonight during the as another practice run. Can't practice it enough.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll get to hear it then. So that's awesome. Well, congratulations. That's hard to do, to get to the district. We've had definitely some Toastmasters do that, but it doesn't happen a lot. So great job, Tom.
Hey, Gerald, I have another question.
Go ahead, Eric.
The email that you sent out from Sam Otto.
Yes, there was an email I sent out From Sam Otto, I sent another one out too. I can't remember what exactly it said, to be honest. It was related to the district, and there was an email as well. I might have sent just to the officers. There's a Toastmaster who didn't acknowledge. There's a number. Every member has a number, and they didn't allow recognition, I guess is a good way to put it. So they're probably a triple award winner of some kind or something like that. They reached level 4, I think it was. So if you are that Toastmaster, you can go online and just click that button off to allow yourself to be recognized for your accomplishments.
Okay.
There was another one too, but different presentations I send out from time to time. So if you have time for those, just check your email and definitely attend if you can make it.
Great.
All right, that's all I have. Unless anybody else has anything else, meeting adjourned, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Gerald, I'm sorry. I have one quick question or point of reference for the good of the membership.
Sure.
Last night I renewed my membership, and there are 2 ways. I know traditionally we would go on the website. I think Len may have set it up.
No, you have to go through our website.
Through the website. There's, just so no one gets confused, there's also something on the international website. It looks like it's something new. So the point is then don't use what comes up on the international website. It says to renew or continue your journey. Use the link on the club website, on the AM Lockport website. Make sure you use that one. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yes, yes, thanks, Marty. Yeah, we voted on that last meeting. Beth being the treasurer just wanted to gather all the money at once instead of gathering it twice.
I see. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, but I appreciate you mentioning that again in case somebody missed that. So thank you so much, Marty. And Len?
Yeah, that's because the international site doesn't take into account club dues, and we don't want to go twice and track it twice. That's ridiculous. Just an update on the pending move to the YMCA in April. I don't know when our first meeting in April is, but we're on track. Essentially, the challenge is having to combine all of our AV equipment to support the Zoom component of our hybrid meetings on the 2 carts that can be rolled back into a storage area when we're done with our meeting, and then rolled out for when we get there for the next meeting, and boot up to 2 PCs. So I'm working on the first cart and the mounts for the monitors. We actually have a PC, we have a monitor for the lectern, and then we have the monitor for people in attendance. So there's 3 screens, 2 PCs, a PA, wireless, microphones, a lot of stuff to combine and plan out, but it's coming along well. Give you further updates next week. Back to you, Mr. President.
We will have to eventually arrange the actual move. If anybody has a truck, that'd be helpful. It's because we have to put a cabinet in there and getting people to actually physically move things as well, lectern, different things like that.
I have a truck and trailer, a small trailer, if you need it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. We'll
just let
definitely
me
be
know.
arranging with you. Yeah, a little easier to do things that way, certainly, than trying to cram stuff in a van or cars, and this gets measured all out. Usually, a truck just super easy. Throw it in there. So, thank you for that, Mike. We'll definitely coordinate with you for sure.
Sure.
All right, great. Well, look forward to seeing you guys when I get back from Florida, and I'm sure I will have some tall tales for you. You guys.